Hi everyone, my name is Chef Alexis Bouillet and I am Chef Manuel Bouillet, and today we're going to introduce you the Quantro Vacherin. So if you are ready, let's get started. So now we're going to do the first recipe for our vacherin, which is the Quantro Shanti with mascarpone. Okay, so for this recipe, I'm going to place cream number 1 into my saucepan. Also following with sugar. We'll add a very small amount of sugar. The idea is just to have a little sweetness, but then really focusing about the orange flavor. So this is why for this recipe, for the orange flavor, we'll have some oranges that I'm going to put also with the sugar and the cream. Over here we have some oranges. However, if you want to replace it with grapefruit zest or even some mandarin zest, of course it's possible. Even with lime zest or lemon zest could be fine too. Absolutely, yes. The pairing of all citruses with Quantro will of course pair really well. Okay, so then we just reheat this one at 60 degrees, and then after I will just put my gelatin mix. And then Manuel will place into his container the cold cream and also mascarpone. So the mascarpone over here will bring you some extra creaminess in our shanty and of course some flavor. Also by reheating the cream with the oranges, it will make the infusion even stronger, so it will enhance the flavor of orange. Okay, so then after checking, we are already at 60 degrees. I add my gelatin mix. I dissolve it for just a few seconds. Okay, so everything is well dissolved. I pour directly everything on it. And then we blend everything together to get a smooth texture. Okay, so last step, what should we add? Yeah, so then this one, ready, and then we are gonna add the last step, which is the Quantro 60. Of course, we always check that we are under 40 degrees. This is important. So then we scale the Quantro, we double check the texture is okay, the temperature is okay too, is well, nice and smooth. And then we add the remaining ingredients, which is the Quantro 60%. Okay, so then everything is nice and smooth. Here we have a nice emulsion with the Quantro. Beautiful, yeah, perfect. So then we cool it down for several hours into the refrigerator, just to make sure we go down at 2-3 degrees, and then we'll be able to whip it. So then we're gonna go for step number 2 for our vacherin, which is the Kumquat Sbet. Of course, we have some kumquat juice, fresh juice, freshly squeezed, so it will be very refreshing for this sorbet. So then we have first water placed already into a saucepan. We're just gonna start to reheat it just at a low heat, and incorporating right now the milk powder. Milk powder directly into the water, and then Manuel will combine together sugar and also atomized glucose powder and also our stabilizer. So for this step, you can simply use a small whisk and then combine well together. It is very important to combine those sugars together in order also to dissolve well our stabilizer. If you just add the stabilizer like this into the liquid, then you will have difficulties to incorporate it nicely. So step number 1, always to combine all sugars together with stabilizer. Thank you, chef. So then everything is well combined together. We pour little by little over it. Okay, so then I'm going to bring it to 85 degrees. So I'm going to pasteurize the base of the mix. So we'll cool down into this container. As soon as it's nice and cold, I suggest you to let it maturate for minimum 4 hours into the fridge. And then you can add the remaining juice and blend again. So at the end, of course, at the end of this whole process, we will need to use the sorbet machine and then spin the sorbet. Okay, so now we just arrived at 85 degrees, so I can stop. And then I pour my syrup over it and to cooling down before adding the juice. So after cooling down our syrup for the kumquat sorbet, then we are able to pour our remaining juice and also including the zest. We pour everything together and then we'll be able just to blend it. The blending part is actually really important, is to combine well all ingredients together in order to have something very smooth at the end. Okay, so just a nice emulsion between the two parts. Everything is well combined together. And then, because now everything is nice and cold, we are able to turbinate and the ice cream sorbet will be ready. So then for the new step, which is step number 3, we are gonna do the fromage blanc and also Quantro orange sorbet. So for this one, I'm gonna take first water and I will let Manuel combine together sugar, the atomized glucose powder and also the stabilizer. For this recipe, it is really important to combine well all the sugars and stabilizer together. That will ensure that the stabilizer will incorporate itself well and then dissolve into the water. So then I just start to heat up the water. It should be around 40 degrees before I add the mix of sugars and then bring to 85 degrees. So I just pour the mix of sugars. And then the preparation will be bring to 85 degrees. On the side, the remaining will be, of course, the fromage blanc, the zest, and the Quantro, but that will be added just after when the syrup is nice and cold. Okay, so then I just stop. My syrup is at 85 degrees. I just pour the syrup to cool it down and then waiting until it's nice and cold, around 3 degrees, and then we'll be able to add with the remaining, which is the fromage blanc and zest and Quantro 60. Then of course we'll blend all together before we spin the sorbet. So then our syrup is nice and cold. I'm gonna add the fromage blanc. And then on the side, I'm gonna scale the Quantro 60 with the remaining puree. And then now the goal is gonna be to blend everything together in order to have something very smooth, and then we'll be ready to spin our sorbets. What I want to do is first to blend with the fromage blanc, and then Manuel will pour over it the mix of Quantro and zest. Okay, so you see we have something nice and smooth. Then we pour everything together. And we blend one more time to create a nice emulsion between the Quantro, zest, and the rest of the sorbet. So now our sorbet is nicely emulsionated and it's already cold, so we will be able to turbinate directly. So then we go for step number 4 for the vacherin, which is the crunchy meringue. So for this recipe, I'm gonna place egg white with sugar number 1 and also icing sugar number 1 together. Okay. Okay, so now our meringue is ready. As you can see, we have a nice soft peak. The meringue is slightly shiny. What do you think? Beautiful, great. Okay, so now we are ready to incorporate the sugar number 2 and icing sugar number 2. So here we have the icing sugar, and then we'll add the regular sugar. So just by adding also some regular sugar inside, combining with icing sugar, the meringue will be very, very crunchy. So over here on the side, we prepared a parchment. That's gonna help us to pipe our meringue on. And then we'll place those meringue later on in the dehydrator. We'll of course explain you. Now, step number 1, we're gonna place the meringue into the piping bag, ready to go to make some beautiful shapes. So I'm gonna do 2 shapes. The first one will be for the base of the vacherin. So I'm just gonna pipe like a nice and round meringue, just like this, which is around 5 centimeters. And just some nice spike of meringue. Okay, so then at the same time, I'm gonna start to sprinkle a little bit of regular sugar on the meringue. That will add some extra crunchiness. So we don't want to add too much, we just sprinkle the top. And then we are going to put that into or in the oven or the dehydrator. But of course we want to keep a nice white color, so this is why the temperature is always slightly lower. So 65-70 degrees around 3 hours. So then we are gonna go for step number 5, which is the dressing sauce for our vacherin. The idea is having the vacherin and then pour the sauce, our dressing Quantro sauce with some citrus over the vacherin, so which is a nice combination of flavor. So to do so, I'm gonna place all the juice inside, all the mix of purees, and then our mix of zest to have something very refreshing. And Manuel will start to scale the Quantro 60 also together, and then I will just blend it together. This is gonna bring you, of course, a touch of orange, but also a lot of freshness. Okay, so we just blend together, and then Manuel will pour the olive oil see we have a nice dressing sauce that will be perfect and really refreshing. At the same time, the olive oil will be perfectly matched with the Quantro and also the fromage blanc. So now this is the step number 6 for our vacherin, so which is the lime supreme. So obviously I used this lime previously to make the citrus dressing sauce, just remove it for the zest. Now I'm gonna use the inside. So I'm gonna cut some supreme, and Emmanuel on the side will make the syrup. To make the syrup, it's quite simple. We start first with our water, and then we're gonna start our induction, and then pour our sugar and dissolve it with a whisk. Then we'll bring this syrup to a boil, and I will put it right here on the side, and Alexis will also pour like the segment of lime into the syrup. That will slightly make them less acidic and slightly confit. Then the idea, because as Manuel said, because lime are pretty sour, will make it much better for the tasting. We'll combine it with the vacherin, so you will have the freshness of the lime, but obviously we don't want to get something too sour, so it will be much better for the tasting part. So then I prepare first my small lime, and after we'll cut it in small pieces just to have something smaller. Okay, so then everything is okay. I'm just gonna cut in two, each of them in two, ready to combine with the syrup. And then you need to leave it for a few hours just to let it macerate and become less sour. So over here our syrup was boiling, so I just stopped it, and then Alexi will pour like the fresh segment into the plastic container, and then I will simply pour the syrup over. So then we can just cover it and leave it for a few days into the fridge, 3 degrees. So now we go for step 7. So we have seen previously how to make the lime supreme into the syrup. Then we're gonna cut a grapefruit, the pink one, and we just cut some supreme and just keep it as it is. We don't need the syrup because I like the freshness and also the slightly sourness, but obviously it's not as sour as the lime. So remove it from. We have a nice pink grapefruit, so it will go well with our dressing sauce also. So, and also the Quantro will refresh all the desserts at the end. So I take it one by one, and then I will just cut in half. Then we place the grapefruit on top of a paper that will absorb the remaining juice, and make sure that the juice is not dripping later on. So we suggest to do this step just before the service to keep it as fresh as possible and very watery. So we just use the cling film to cover it and keep it into the fridge, ready for the service. So we are now ready to finalize our vacherin. So it's like we are in the service. This is service time. The customer already asked for his vacherin. So we are now ready. The first step is to whip the Quantro Shanti with a little bit of mascarpone. You see we have quite a firm texture, and then we're going to transfer into a piping bag ready for piping. So we just take a little bit. So that will be to make just before the service, at least the chantilly is at the nice and at the right texture. So the remaining of the chantilly, you can just keep it in the fridge, ready for the rest of the service. Okay, so the first step is I'm gonna take one nice meringue and just pipe a little bit of chantilly just to stick at the bottom, and then just pipe 3 nice balls of chantilly. And then on the side, we just place our grapefruits and also some candied lime. So the idea is to make like a small garden, something nice and elegant. Okay, so this is the base, and after I'm gonna scoop my 2 types of ice cream. Manuel on the side will start to prepare also the sauce. So you see we have the sauce ready for the service. I suggest that you keep at room temperature, at least the emulsion is nicely and well done. You just need to pour the sauce into a small pot, ready to go. And then I keep on the side also some small meringue, which is the spice, meringue spice. Okay, so then we're gonna pipe a nice scoop of sorbet. In the middle. And then the next one. Okay, so then I'm gonna place also my meringue. So just some meringue also on the top, and just some small balm on the top. Alright, and then we just finish it just before the service. I just take a fresh lime and just a little bit on the top of the dessert. And then we just bring the dessert to the customers, and on the side we just have the citrus dressing sauce. So it is now time for our the best part so far, which is the tasting. I really love the freshness of the kumquat mixing with the Quantro 60. Also we have some nice grapefruit and the dressing sauce. For me, just the perfect balance. So Yeah.
Let's get started.
Let's get started. And take even a meringue together to get something very crunchy, you know.
It's really balancing like the acidity and the fruitiness of the grapefruit, and then the kumquat.
Really refreshing part from the
Absolutely.
Quantro.
Yeah. Really love it. Because balancing a meringue is actually quite complicated.
Yeah,
in a way.
sure.
Okay, we really hope you will enjoy this dessert. Remember, you need to have something quite fresh and then make it simple, just straightforward.
Make it simple sometimes is always the best.
Absolutely.
Sure.